Bhagavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 11 to 20.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम् ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोकः लोकान्नो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यथः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदम् यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्दधाना मत्परमाः भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः
You have a question? Go ahead.
Namaste, good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm a continuation of my question of last week and your clarification about the wall. It is not necessary to have life, right? So could I rephrase articulate my question with a clarification from my side only, whether I'm on the right track? Basically, Brahman is manifested and unmanifested. Now we come to the manifested part. It could be animated, something with animated or inanimate. So animate is okay. That part also is over. That means even if it's inanimate, I'm also inanimate, which could be the wall also. So I'm even the wall. So is my thinking, because a little bit of banana I've done a little bit. Maybe I'm on the right track, maybe on the wrong track. So I'm looking for a clarification. I'm on the right track or otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, you can simplify your life by just saying that that Brahman can be manifest or unmanifest. Unmanifest means that there is no world. Manifest means there is a world. In the manifest, the entire manifest can be divided into animate and inanimate. Right? So, there Brahman is both animate and inanimate. Since it's all pervading, it has to be everything. So it's a very simple way of looking at it. If you deny it's all pervading, then we have a problem. Otherwise, we're steering.
Thank you, madam.
We can probably take a parallel example and see that both inanimate and animate objects are ultimately made out of atoms. So it's the same building blocks which create both life and non-living being.
Sarvana Dasari. Sarvana Dasari, you are not muted. Can you please mute yourself? Thank you. No, you can't say that because this is a common mistake that everyone is making. Yesterday also someone sent me a video saying exactly the same thing. This is an error because atoms, they say physics is saying the same thing as Vedanta. No, it can't say the same thing as Vedanta. It's not possible. Okay, so here atom is matter. Unmanifest means there is no matter. Right? That means Brahman exists by itself. Now we are trying to establish that Brahman exists in the inanimate. So just by saying that they are both made of atoms doesn't establish. There's no logical connection saying that inanimate and animate both have atoms, therefore they both have Brahman. There's no logical connection. I mean, the statement is true, but it's not a derived logic. The logic is not correct. Suppose I say the animate and the inanimate both are made up of the Panchatattva, of the 5 elements. So how does that prove they both have Brahman? So logic is not correct.
Thank you.
Constantly, all the time I hear this thing about trying to fit physics into Vedanta has been driving me up the wall for the last 30 odd years. It doesn't fit. Okay, it just doesn't. It's bad physics or it's bad Vedanta. Only that's the way the people make it fit. No way to make it fit otherwise. I'm a fan of physics, not like I'm denouncing physics. I love it. I love especially astrophysics, but you can't equate like that. So what is this? What about energy? What about energy in what sense, Momita?
Again, physics, like maybe not atoms, but pure energy.
Pure energy, matter and energy, according to physics, are interchangeable. But how does that establish that they are both Brahman?
No, I mean, can we say Brahman is energy?
How can you say Brahman is energy? Because energy is part of matter. Energy is the other side of matter. Where there is matter, there is energy. These two are interchangeable.
Okay.
Oh, look,
It's hard
Vedanta
to-
is difficult, physics is difficult. Choose one and do that. Otherwise, there's too much confusion. I mean, you'll have to, energy is part of matter. That's what he said, no? That's the most famous equation. E is equal
First.
to mc squared.
Okay, so yeah. Right, but it'll be just words, then we'll be just, I mean, whatever else I try.
Yes, correct. I'm glad you are seeing that.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So consciousness is not matter or energy because
No, because they're both the same thing. E is equal to mc squared means what? Energy is equal to matter into the constant, right? Which is the speed of light squared. So that's what that equation says. So if you're accepting physics, then how can you say energy or matter has got anything to do with consciousness? With pure consciousness, with self.
so it is awareness then.
Pure awareness. Awareness as we know it today is awareness of something. The moment you make it of something, you make it impure, because remember the definition of pure? Pure means only that. So if I asked you, are you aware? You will have to say aware of what? You do not know what awareness is. Nobody knows what awareness is. We are always awareing something. So it's impure. It's called conditioned consciousness. So conditioned consciousness, yes, that is part of matter. But not pure consciousness.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I know it's not okay, and it's never going to be okay until you realize the self. So don't even worry about it. Mahesh. So consciousness is neither matter nor energy. That's correct. Consciousness is neither matter nor energy. Matter and energy are the same thing. That's what they've been telling us for years and years and years. So there is no difference between the two. Yes, Jay?
Namaste, Janki. One more doubt that emanates out of this discussion is, am I there? In fact, what is I am so my Aadhaar card proves that I am there separate. Am I audible, Janki? Hello?
I can't hear
Hello?
you very well, Jay.
Hello, madam? Hello?
Bindu, you're not muted. Can you mute yourself, please?
Am I audible?
Very softly still. Can you type your question, because everybody probably needs.
I shall do that.
Thank you, Bindu. Okay, so while we're waiting for Jay to type his question, please refrain from making a superstition either out of physics or out of Vedanta. Everybody is trying to make it sound like physics is telling us this world is an illusion. And one of the reasons they gave, at least according to the video that was sent to me yesterday, is that a particle exists as a probability. And I don't know if you all are familiar with this. The subatomic particles, you can't actually tell where they are. So it's a probability that will be somewhere here. It's a probability. Until you actually measure it, you can't tell that it's there. You can't tell where it is. From that, you conclude that the particle doesn't exist. So they're not saying it doesn't exist. They'd be crazy if they said it didn't exist. All they're saying is you cannot tell where exactly it is until you measure it. What's the difficulty there? So please don't try to keep putting all these things together. Nuclear physics is tough. Vedanta, in its highest reaches, is difficult. let us study one subject properly. Let's not try to take two unknowns and merge them together. We'll never learn anything. So, Jay, you're writing out a very big question. In the meanwhile, you all so there are so many individuals. Do we remain like this, separate individuals, gradually evolving one life after another till we make it to God? Yes, we are all so many different individuals until we realize the self. Just as in your dream, okay, when you were dreaming last night, there were so many individuals. When did these individuals all disappear? When you realized you are woken up, all the individuals have gone. Okay. So, anapeksha, no expectations, free from want. A bhakta has reduced his desires and therefore he's free of wants. You know, we are all the time looking for this soulmate. Yes, Mamita, non-duality teachers also conflate the two, physics and Vedanta. Yes, everybody sees this seems to be a very fashionable thing to do. But I suggest each one study what physics is saying and what Vedanta is saying separately. It's two different things. They have all that split experiment and all this. It's become very fashionable to talk like this by people who've never studied what those experiments really are. It's quite sad, actually. How, we're just so happy. Oh, somebody's saying something nice about Vedanta, it must be true. No, please study it properly. And then you will know whether it's true. Anything, today science has proved that the world is an illusion. No, science is not capable of proving. Neither is Vedanta capable of proving that. Hello, please. Vedanta is not making this assertion. It would be silly if you're saying the world is an illusion. What is this class? So don't please go around making all these things. Learn Vedanta carefully, gradually, step by step. And we will not learn Vedanta until
we do wake up in the morning and study.
Yes, that is true.
Morning study.
You are realized.
Until we realize.
Until you realize. Very good. Until you live that knowledge, to the extent you live that knowledge, to that extent alone will it open out to you. All the, sort of theorizing is not going to help us. And I can tell you this by my personal experience because I did it all too. Some people say I'm a good teacher. I think I agree because I have made almost every mistake that you all could possibly make. So now I know exactly what is going on. I've been there, done that. And now I can say, yeah, okay, I recognize this one. I did that in 1947. I recognize it all. So now, when we live this knowledge, suddenly it's no longer a theory. Suddenly it is just something you are able to see. And I remember when I started, my teacher told me that. He said, don't do it. But of course, nobody ever listens to their teachers. So my teacher told me, don't do it. It's not going to work this way. But was I going to listen? Of course no. I'm going to do it this way. So one day, I think in frustration, he said in class, to all of us, we are all, when we come here, we all have great belief in how intellectual we are. So we have all these notions going on. And then one day in class, he said, he said, I don't know how many of you all are Tamil, whatever language this is, Chakkani Raja, Marga Mudulaga, if I'm pronouncing this thing right. Any South Indians in this class, do you understand what I'm saying? And am I saying it correctly? Kalyan, do you understand what I'm saying? Huh?
Yeah. I think you're saying whatever good thing will not leave the path or something like that.
No, Chakkani Raja. It is supposed to be a Tyagaraja song. There is a right royal path. Oh mind, why are you going into by-lanes? They have a prescribed path. Follow it. Just follow it. Put your head down and follow it. Oh mind, why are you going into the by-lanes? And I understand the frustration now. So the go down, whatever we have studied it. We can establish that this is the right method. Just go down it quietly and wait for a long, long time. Just keep doing it and wait. Keep doing it and wait. Keep doing it and wait. 2 things only we have to do. The waiting is very important. Otherwise, say, oh, has anything happened? Nothing is happening. Please relax. Just keep doing it. So, if we go about it properly, we will grow with the knowledge. When we grow with the knowledge, it will all become self-evident. Just all self-evident. You have neither the question nor the answer last. Now, if you see this quality, anapeksha, such a fabulous quality, you can just go on about anapeksha. Anapeksha means free of wants, free of expectation. Now you learn this in class and you try to do it, let us say, in your marriage. How is it possible? Remember, he has given it as an explanation of a developed soul. Only a developed soul will be free of desire. So if you want to have a happy marriage, you need to
be free of
Not have
Expectations.
positive
I
thoughts.
mean, do away with the expectations.
You can't do away with expectations. How is it possible? You have them. You can pretend you don't have
So
them.
desire, when you remove the desire, the expectations go down.
When you evolve, when you develop spiritually, the result of that is your expectations are gone. You cannot practice being anapeksha. How can you practice this? If you do want to practice it, then there is a way of practicing it. And that way is known as right expectations. You cannot remove your expectation. That's simply not possible. This is only available to a developed person. This method is only available to a developed person. So if I ask you, if you want a happy marriage, you need to, one word.
Develop spiritually.
Very good. You need to develop spiritually. People say, oh, if I develop spiritually, then what will happen to my marriage? Finally, you will have a happy one. Because why? Expectations have come down. Now, when people get married with expectations and those expectations are not fulfilled, how are you going to tell them to be happy? They will not be. And the more the expectations, the more the unhappiness. There's nothing anyone can do about it. What can anyone do about it? You have the expectation. You are as helpless in front of that expectation as anyone else. And now your spouse is not fulfilling them. So you have to be miserable. That is a given. So then now we are going to all be miserable. No, there is a way out of this. And that way is known as right expectations. First, you must know your expectations. That is first one. First step. All of us must know what is it I'm expecting. Point 1. Point 2, and that's very important. So point 1 is also very important because our expectations are also a moving target. If I say, if I say, I would like a husband who helps me in the kitchen. Suppose I say, I'd like a husband who at least does his own work. Okay, at least khana khaya to pick up your plate and put it in the sink. You don't even have to wash it, but you pick up your plate and put it there. Okay, let us say your husband starts doing that. Then what happens? Then you say, every day I have to cook. Can you not cook once in a while? So let us say your husband starts cooking once in a while. Then you will face what every woman faces, which is, you have cooked this and you've kept this kitchen's such a mess. Who's going to clean up after you? Right? So our expectations are a
moving target.
moving target. It's not like our expectations are ever going to be fulfilled. They are not going to be fulfilled. Please accept that. Because it's a moving target. No matter what a person does for you, you can always think of more things the person can do for you. That's us. That's the human being. This is a moving target. So, step 1. Ask yourself, what is it you want? And stick with that. Don't keep changing it. The moment the person does that, you want something else. Stick. Okay. Second question to ask yourself is, what is this person capable of? Suppose you're married to a very quiet person, he doesn't speak. Then right expectation tells you that
You should not expect him to speak.
that if I need to speak, I have to find someone else. Doesn't mean I have to leave this husband and find somebody else. I have to find somebody else to talk to. Talk to your friends, talk to your acquaintances, talk to the world. Talk in the Zoom class. Do karma yoga and talk there. Don't force that poor person to talk to you, because that
You
person
can't
is
expect
not
the fish
talking.
to fly, as they say.
What? Who's saying what?
You can't expect the fish to fly.
You can't
So
expect
what
the
is it?
fish to fly. And if you want something flying, go catch a plane. Don't expect the poor fish to fly, because you're making the fish and yourself miserable. So, right expectations. Don't try saying I won't have expectations, because that's not possible. What we have to do is learn how to have right expectations. Yeah, Pravesh, you had a question?
Hello, ma'am. Actually, somewhere I am confused. As we are not having any expectation, we are developing ourselves in the spiritual path.
Ooh, wrong. Stage 1 is wrong. Cause and effect is ulta.
Okay.
When we don't have desires, we won't have expectations. When we grow spiritually, we will not have expectations. We cannot practice not having expectations to grow spiritually. That's an impossibility. So
Means
the causation is ulta.
And right expectation means if we love someone, then we can have a right expectation with the person who is in relationship with us. Then somewhere if we make correction as per our intention, because our intention is the right expectation with that person. But if the other person in relationship will not able to understand that right expectation, then how we will means match our love feeling with that person? It is quite confusing.
Okay. So let us define what is right expectation. If you have a right expectation from somebody, and that person doesn't live up to that expectation, your expectation was not right. Okay? The person is right. It is you who are wrong. For instance, if I expect a very quiet person to speak to me, if my theory is, you are my husband, husbands and wives should speak to each other. You are not speaking to me. You are not fulfilling my right expectations. Then these are my wrong expectations. People don't become speakers because they get married. Right? Either a person is a speaking type or he's not a speaking type. If he's a speaking type, he will speak to everybody. If he's not a speaking type, he will not be the speaking type. He won't speak to anybody. But I've told women that, and their response is that he speaks to everybody but me. If he speaks to everybody but you, please correct the way you are speaking. Because if he's a speaking type and he's not speaking to you, then that's a worse problem, because you're irritating the hell out of him. So stop doing that. Okay, so don't say he speaks to everybody but me. Okay, so right expectation. Let us define it. Can anyone in the class define right expectation?
It should be in sync with what the other person's nature is.
Very good. Right expectation is based on a right assessment of what the other person is. That's why Malati gave the example of you can't expect a fish to fly. So if I want to go to Dubai, I can't ride a fish and go there. Your argument is, oh, but there is sea on the way. But even if there is a sea on the way, I can't ride the fish. I will have to take a plane and go there. Okay, so right expectation is based on right assessment. When we do not assess correctly, or when we don't assess at all, sometimes we don't assess at all, or we don't do it correctly, the person disappoints us. When we experience disappointment from a person, we know that our assessment was incorrect. Okay, so we have to work our way backwards. Okay, now where did I not assess this correctly? Okay, so this person is a talker and I want a silent person, or this person is a silent person and I want a talker. I don't get that. So if I want a talker, then go find, there are plenty of talkers in this world. You can talk to Momita. She's not going to keep quiet. She'll argue with you if you say nonsense to her. So to find somebody who's a talker. Something to talk to, no, nothing. I'm not suggesting anything else. Is that clear?
Yeah, but this, madam, this assessment could also have been done before the marriage. You met once or twice, and if you had done the assessment correctly and realized you're not in sync, as Mamita says, then you should have moved away and looked for another person. Again, once or two meetings. Probably it doesn't take very long to understand if your wavelengths are, unless you earned by the looks and then you plunged into it. That's also a possibility.
I know somebody I know a couple. They lived together, he's an Australian couple. They lived together for 14 years. They had 2 children, the elder of which was 12 or something. They lived together for 14 years. Then finally, I don't know what got into their head, they decided to get married and were divorced in 2 years. Our expectations are a moving target. No matter what we ask and we get, we will think of something else to get. So yes, broadly, it's a good idea to assess your partner, definitely. I mean, of course, you must make an assessment before marriage, no doubt about that. But these people, these kids, here's what everybody, they keep assessing, they keep getting married, they keep leaving each other, then they assess somebody else. Okay, thodi na hone wala hai. At some stage, you have to control your own mind. So, Pravesh, are you okay?
Yes, ma'am. Somewhere it is okay, but in some relationships, like parents-child relationship, we actually claim to love our child. Somewhere they are not, means their intellect is not at such level that they can make the right decision and all that. If we try to make them correct because we want their life to be in the right direction, so in that case, they have the opposition for that kind of thought process. In that case, there is opposition in the relationship, somewhere it happens, and how we will be able to justify that we are doing just for you only?
You can't. You must appreciate that. If a person doesn't have the intellect to understand that what you're doing is in that person's welfare, he doesn't have the intellect. He's not going to understand. You have to get rid of your own lack of self-sufficiency. Like, I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to even understand that I'm doing it in your welfare. I know what I'm doing. So This is like we are dependent on their emotions. If you're dependent on the emotions of the people you're taking care of, it can become a torture. Because the person you're taking care of may not always appreciate what you're doing for that person. Even as a teacher, you have to have detachment from students. If you don't have detachment, it will pull you down because you love them and you expect that they should love you. It doesn't work. There is no law that says, I love you, therefore you're forced to love me. So therefore, you have to keep a little distance mentally, a little distance between yourself and the people you take care of, because taking care of somebody means doing what is right. And doing what is right means the mind is not going to like. These are natural laws. You can't help. You have to stay on your path. They will like you, they will dislike you. How many children think, I don't like my parents. They're so mean to me, they're so horrible to me. They don't get it, right? You tell a child go to school, the child will think the parent is unnecessarily being so mean. I was happy in my life, I'm playing nicely, you're sending me to school, you're a horrible person. It's okay. That's how the child will think. Okay, so first is I cannot be dependent on the emotions of the people I take care of, because if no mind is going to like what any intellect does, it just can't be done. Okay, whether it's a patient, whether it's a child, whatever it is, right? There has to be. If there isn't that thing, a student, teacher, a parent, child, whatever, patient and a caregiver, everywhere this law will work. Therefore, you know what we say at the beginning of every class? Yeah, I hope you all have taken the trouble to read the explanation of the prayer we do. We put it over there. Here, go and read this explanation. Every single class we say, may we not hate each other. Because it's a certain amount of anger at the teacher, a little bit, not too much, shouldn't be frustrating. Little anger is necessary. Otherwise, you're not doing your job. Maybe time you tell somebody a truth that they don't like to hear, they are going to get irritated with you. Now that's that. Okay, so we know this is a law. So how do we deal with it practically? We remind ourselves and keep a little distance. And we also remember a second very important thing, which is please pick your battles. Pick your battles. You cannot drive somebody else's mind completely mad. So you pick up which one is worth fighting over and which one is not worth fighting over. Which one is worth you just being, like, I'm given nothing, this is it. And which one is chalo yaar, now. Okay, so one thing is no dependence or a little distance between the person we're taking care of and ourselves, number one. And number two, learning to pick the right balance. You can't have your way every time. It just can't be done with anybody. So pick your balance. Okay.
Madam, are you referring to the teacher-student relationship or the couple relationship?
All relationships are the same.
Because when you come to a teacher, it's total obedience. You're coming to learn. Where is a question of argument with the teacher?
Oh my God.
You can ask questions, get satisfaction. Don't understand like I did last time. I came back again to you. A little bit of manana I did. And is this correct? So where is the question of a conflict there? It could be the couple part where you have to keep adjusting your, what battles to pick.
You won't have conflict with the teacher because you are maintaining distance with the teacher. Ask any of the other jokers here who have not to maintain distance. They have to do a lot of work with the teacher. Then you see. No.
And in this case, I think it's Janki ji who is, as she says, maintaining. I don't mean her. I mean a teacher. It's then the teacher using their intellect to keep their distance, keep their calm, to think that this is it's what she's expect. It's what the teacher does. Is what they're expecting the mother to do for the child. Let's say.
Yeah,
That
you
is
could take it like that also, but then his problem is not so much that, but that why would there be any anger towards the teacher? Because you see, if you were living with the teacher and the teacher has put a schedule for you, like, we had at the 1 month course. Most people never came to the 1 month course. They were too sensible. They said, Baba, theek hai. We are very happy at home. Why will I go and do a 1 month course over there? But when you go there, when you have to actually live whatever you are learning, and you don't want to, you're told, do karma yoga. No, I'm too busy. Do bhakti yoga. Oh, where have I got the time? Do jnana yoga. I just can't get up in the morning. And then the teacher says nothing. But when you're doing a residential thing, again, the teacher says nothing, but that peer pressure is building on you. Everybody woke up, I didn't wake up. Everybody went to yoga, I didn't go to yoga. It's all like it's building up pressure. And then, when you start doing it, then you start experiencing. If you're not experiencing enough anger to the teacher, maybe you're not doing enough. Maybe you've got to do a lot more. Maybe you have to come more within the reach of the teacher. Because otherwise, everything is very nice as long as we all keep our distance and we just meet for 1 hour a week. But out, everybody who has come anywhere closer knows exactly what is going on. So, are we doing everything? When we start doing it, then the mind will start reacting. That is the famous story. I'm sure you all have all heard this story, right? Of that Govardhan Parbat story. Indra, everybody knows the story, right? If anyone doesn't know the story, Krishna said, don't worship Indra, if you worship Govardhan. And so then Indra got really mad and he threw down all thunder and lightning and all sorts of things. And then what did Krishna do? He lifted up Govardhan on his little finger. You all know the story, right? Everybody heard the story. Now, think about what the story is telling. Indra, what is Indra? Indriyani Raja iti Indra. The Raja of the Indriyas. Who is the Raja of the Indriyas? The mind. So the Raja of the Indriyas means the mind is worshipped by all of us. Krishna says, don't worship Indra, worship Govardhan. So Indra is mighty mad. How dare you not worship me? Worship me means what? You have to do everything I say. The mind is very irritated. You're not doing what I'm saying. It's very angry and it throws down thunder and lightning. Now, what should you do to protect yourself? Go under Govardhan. Govardhan represents the intellect. It will save you. It kept the whole village calm while all the thunder and lightning was going on. Whole basti, whole village was kept dry. And all this happens by the force of Krishna. Not all his force, just a Kalingari, just a tiny bit. You didn't put in effort to lift that moon, just a tiny bit. I mean, why this? Because the weakest, least effective part of your body, right? What work will this Kalingari do? It doesn't take his force, much of his force at all.
So what is the connection, the finger and the intellect? The smallest finger, smallest part.
I mean, the force of Brahman holds that intellect up.
Okay, the intellect comes.
But very little of it, not like lots of it. This doesn't take him very much to do that. So mind will balk at things. You have to be under your intellect that you can handle what that mind is balking. Yes, so when you start doing things your mind doesn't like, that's when you feel the backlash. When you feel the backlash, who are you going to blame? You're going to blame your teacher only. You made me do all these things and nobody made you do anything. But still, it will be the teacher's fault. So you sometimes get really angry, especially when you get attached to your teacher very much and the teacher doesn't do what you think they should be doing. It creates huge backlash. People like say, I don't believe in this person. I'm never going to speak to this person again. And all sorts of things. Part of the deal.
Yeah, but we are also taught look at the teaching of the teacher, not the personality. No.
If you do everything correctly, then there's no problem. But most students don't do everything correctly. We're told so many things, but which ones are we following? So, okay, what is this? Mukesh Bajaj. Good morning. If one understands that each person is acting as per his or her vasanas, example, a person is of quiet nature, that their vasana is playing through. Yes, correct. Momita. When we turn to one person to provide what an entire village once did, a sense of grounding, meaning, and continuity, is it any wonder that so many relationships crumble under the weight of it all? Correct. Mukesh Vajaria. Some people have a thick skin to situations others. Yes, they do. Some people are oversensitive, some people have a thick skin. I'm sure you said this in some context, but I am not sure what. But yeah, the statement is right.
May I, Shankarji, just regarding the last statement regarding thick skin, excuse me, does that mean that that person really doesn't have any emotions or not using intellect, just like a zombie? He doesn't care? Or is it just really, they've really understood, that this is not going to make any, not take that other person's emotions on themselves?
Well, if he's
I mean, there's some are really thick
not,
skin. I mean, there really are.
if he's a zombie, he's not a Vedantin, right? A zombie is a dead person. So to have emotions is a wonderful thing. To allow for emotions to govern your personality, that's a terrible thing. So if you don't have emotions, you're like a piece of wood or stone. If you have emotions and you allow those emotions to govern the personality, then you're like an animal. But if you have emotions and your intellect governs the personality, then you are living up to the dignity of the human being. So to not have emotions is not something that is worthy of consideration. Like, what kind of person are you? Anapeksha. Suchihi. We did Suchihi in great detail at every level of the personality. Dakshaha. Be very good at what you do. Everything you do it perfectly. Don't say I'm a Vedantin, but nothing I do is proper. This Vidushi. She's there today, Vidushi. She sent me a message. Okay, you know that these lectures are coming up in where are we? Bangalore. So from next week, I'm going to be in Bangalore. Any of you all in Bangalore, please come and join us. But she sent me my itinerary for Bangalore. She did all the hard work and then she sent me the itinerary. She's fixed this. And you should see how beautifully she sent it. She actually made a sort of creative, which shows on this day I'm doing this, at this time, this day I'm doing this, at this time, this day. It's so beautifully presented. That is called Daksha. Many of you who are associated with us, I forwarded it to the group so that you all can see how beautifully she has sent it. It's not that she is simply organized. She's organized the whole thing single-handedly. I mean, she's what? Young 20-year-old girl. She's done the whole thing single-handedly, had a whole bunch of things organized. And when she's telling me what it is presented so beautifully. That is called Daksha. Like anything you do it well. And you're so good at whatever it is you have done. And the reason you're so good is not because you're highly talented or you're too very bright, because you simply paid attention. So that it was good, it was fantastic, whatever you did. And you have that capacity to pay attention because the mind is under control. The mind is not rushing here and there. What will happen? Will the event work? What am I supposed to do now? I'm just sending a message about what is happening when. Superb job. You can keep your mind focused on what you're doing. Jay, should I conclude maintaining some distance is good for healthy relationship? Yes and no. the distance should be proportional to the need for the distance. Suppose you have a very good, very companionable spouse, then you don't need to just keep away because, oh, I better keep some distance. Or you keep distance with the qualities that are, suppose it's a very irritating person in your colony. He's so irritating, nobody can stand him. So keep a distance from those qualities which are bad. But you need not keep a distance from the qualities which are not bad. So when the person says something which is not correct, distance. When the person says or does something correct, I mean, there's no need for distance. So basically, you have to use a discrimination. I wish there were some very easy rule of thumbs. There aren't. You have to use discrimination each and every time. Dakshaha, udasinaha, gatavyataha. Udasinaha means unconcerned. Unconcerned doesn't mean that you don't care. Unconcerned means that you are concernedly unconcerned. You have a lot of concern, but you remain unconcerned. It's like the relationship that a good parent has with a child. You're very concerned about the well-being of the child, but you're concerned in a way that you have maintained the right distance. You cannot run the child's life for the child. You have to be there for the child whenever the child requires you. And you have to know when you need to get out of the field. You cannot help a butterfly out of its cocoon. You simply can't. The butterfly has to do its own struggle. Otherwise, it will never fly. So you have to be very concerned because you'd like the butterfly to come out of its cocoon and know perfectly well that this is not the time for me to do anything. So concernedly concerned, unconcerned. You care and you have the wisdom to use the care properly. If you do that, you're gatavyataha. Your troubles are gone. Sarvarambha parityagi. You do not have a sense of beginning. The thing is, we don't all of us seem to understand how much we are these dwarfs standing on the shoulders of giants. Right? And that's why they say, Manache Shlok. There's a very nice thing in Marathi called Manache Shlok, written by Samartha Ramdas. And then he says in that, Kiti ekate ale ani janmale ani mele. So many high achievers have been born and died. Yet when I become a high achiever, I think that I am doing this for the first time. When I've done this, what do you mean you've done it? Thousands like you, millions like you have come and gone. What are you taking this whole thing on your head for? That sense of ego, like even now, this institution, or let's not say this institution, this work has been going on for 35 years. So people keep joining. Every time they join and they do something, the belief is, look what I've done. But actually, you could not have done this unless for the last 35 years, people have been doing many things. Many, many people, unnamed, unknown. So it is all like it's all a continuance, right? It's constantly continuing. This knowledge itself has been prevalent for 10,000 years. We're just continuing. What is this arambha? What is this beginning that you're talking about? We are merely holding the baton for some time. We hold the baton, we run with it, and after some time we hand the baton. So there is no concept of beginnings. There is no beginning. We are all in continuance. The concept of beginning comes from ego. Verse 17. Yo na rushyati na tveshti na shochati na kamshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhakti manya same priyaha, yo na rushyati na tveshti, na shochati na kamshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktimanya same priyaha. Yah same priyaha. He is dear to me. He is dear to me means he is close to me. He is one with me. He's approaching self-realization. Who is this person? Yo Narush. Okay, so before we start, we are currently doing the 35 qualities of a bhakta. So we are now on quality number 22, Yo Narushyati. So he does not rejoice or hate or grieve. The 22nd quality of the bhakta, there are 35 of them, and we are doing them all. So for those who are joining us for the first day, this is from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12. And we are studying what the Lord says, who is close to him, who is dear to him. So he's given 35 qualities of the devotee. So 22nd quality says, Yo na rushyati na dveshti na shochati na kamshati. He does not rejoice, he does not hate, he does not grieve, and he does not long. There's no akanksha, there's no longing, there's no desiring. Now this person sounds like a dead person. Mukesh Bajaria will say, oh my God, he seems to have become a zombie. What it means is that it doesn't mean that. What it means is he feels the joy, he feels the sorrow, he feels the fact that something is desirable to achieve in the future. He can feel all this. But none of these feelings influences his intellect. His discrimination is not touched by the feelings of the mind. He can continue to think properly. Like for instance, think of any desire. When we have a desire, what happens? We get a desire, we will go running behind. Right? We don't stop to think, is this worthy of getting? Is it not worthy of getting? Nothing. Oh, let us go. He doesn't do that. He simply doesn't do it. When he gets a desire, he thinks, let us do X or Y or Z. He is able to think about that thing as if he had no desire. That, in other words, with complete objectivity. Suppose somebody causes him grief. He is able to think of that person without being influenced by the grief that that person is causing. Suppose somebody is causing us grief. Then what do? We say, he's such a bad man. No, a perfectly good person could cause us grief as well. So I do not say that he is bad because I am sorry. That is an independent decision. He may be good, he may be bad, he may be whatever. That's an independent decision. My grief is independent. So what does a bhakta do? A bhakta is capable of having an analysis or a reason or a judgment that is totally divorced from how he personally is feeling. And you will notice that great men are like that. Okay, just because a person criticizes me doesn't mean that he is bad. It could mean that he is right. That never occurs to us. That he could be right when he's saying this about me. You know that famous story about Abraham Lincoln, right? So one chap was his great critic. But when he became president, he brought him on the cabinet. He said, Arey, why are you taking this man on the cabinet? He suggested his name for cabinet. So why are you taking him on the cabinet? You don't want him, your critics and those kind of people. You want people who will go with you. So he said, I have a very high opinion of this person. He's an excellent person and he would serve our country well. And as for him saying negative things about me, well, who knows? He may be right. So if you thought that this person is good for the country, you got him regardless of what he thought of you. That's the quality of developed people. It's a quality of achievers. That what you feel and what you think your thinking is not impacted by your feelings. Otherwise, most mothers will say, who is the best in the whole world? My child is the best in the whole world. Means your emotions influence your thinking. Okay, so that's it. We'll continue next Sunday. And